Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm Katie and welcome to the Bookish adventure. So first question before I start this video, what do you think of my tiny buns? I realise my camera's probably quite high and you can't see them very well. However, I have tiny buns. My mom was like, oh my god, you know what you should do? You should like have your hair in tiny buns. And now I did it and it took so long, I'm like, well, the buns stay. Yeah, let me know what you think. I'm partly like, I love it, and the other part of me is like, do I leave the house with this? Anyway, today's video, I did an emergency lockdown book haul because at the time of placing this, which was start of the week, so Monday the 20-something, god, I have no concept of time anymore, we didn't know whether, I mean, we had all pretty much knew that work wouldn't close. However, it was a case of like, what happened if it did? And it was just sort of, I was unprepared. I have no books basically for this year's TBR because I normally try and just buy them like as I'm coming close to it, trying to stop myself from hauling and hoarding so many books. And it kind of got to a point where, well, obviously you don't know how long businesses are going to stay open. I was going to do an order in Waterstones and they all closed on Monday, so I was like, well, there went that idea. So I could either do it online or go via Amazon, but I prefer to give Waterstones the money in like the actual shop. Anyway, so yeah, it was a kind of, I kind of thought about it over the weekend thinking, oh, I should like really maybe get some books in, because genuinely, like, what if my shop actually closed, which was never going to happen, but what if? And you don't know how long this is going to go on for, and we may hit a point where we do hit national shutdown. So I did an emergency book haul, and you may think out of all the things that I could be hoarding right now, books probably do not seem the most important. They are to me. We've been very lucky. We've managed to get a food shop every time we've been. Yes, we've been missing a few things, but in general we've managed to do it. We are not panic buying on food. We are literally just buying a weekly food shop, and that is it. So let's get to my first book, Heroes by Stephen Fry. So this is the second book in the Stephen Fry Great Mythos series. Now you may be thinking, this book seems weirdly familiar, and you'd be correct because I received this in the paperback version for my birthday, but my first ever version of Mythos was in hardback, so I gotta have the two to match. So problems of being a book hoarder. So Heroes, as you can probably tell, is based off the Greek heroes. So it's people like Perseus, Hercules, Orpheus, Jason. So as well as like the 12 labors of Hercules, it's also got other stuff as well. So yeah, this really focuses on that, and I'm guessing the monsters, I'm kind of hoping he comes out with a third one that is more on the side of the monsters and like where they have all come from, because I guess they will be slightly touched upon in this, but I want to have one that's dedicated, whereas the first one is dedicated to all the gods. Next up is Smoke in the Sun by Renee Ahdieh. So this is the sequel to her first book, Flame in the Mist. So Flame in the Mist is about a girl, Miko, is it Miko? Mariko, I was close, who basically, she is the daughter of a very well-known samurai, but she is a girl. So basically she's just been brought up to be married, whereas, you know, she's a bit like a Mulan story is like kind of where this is going. She basically one day when she's like only 17, she got sent off to the palace to go meet her betrothed, goodbye daughter, and on the way the convoy is ambushed by a clan known as the Black Clan, and they ambush the convoy and she's the lone survivor. So she decides to take out revenge and she infiltrates the Black Clan as a peasant boy, and it's one of those, you know, kind of standard stories. You get in there and then you find out things maybe not what you think they are. There is also a romance. So it is a duology, which I'm very happy about because yay, duologies. And I've been wanting to read more sort of ethnically inspired books. I think that is the correct way to term it. I don't know. Next up, the Dorothy Must Die novella story. So this is volume 1. So this is the first 3 books, No Place Like Oz, The Witch Must Burn, and The Wizard Returns. And these are by Danielle Page. For the longest time, the Dorothy Must Die series has been on my book list, like forever. And I've ummed and ahed about it. And I was like, you know what, I will do it. And then it came to, do I read the novellas? Because there are 9 novellas in total, which made me think maybe I should read them. And it was only recently I re-looked at it and thought, actually do, because the actual Dorothy Must Die series follows a girl called Amy Gum, the second girl who came from Kansas, and she's there to obviously kill Dorothy. So that actually spurred me to decide I did really want to read these, because these first novellas, these cover Dorothy's story going back to Oz and returning to Oz and how everything happened, and it also covers other characters like the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, the Cowardly Lion. So the first 6 kind of covered the aforementioned who I just went with. It's whether or not I want to read volume 3, because that covers, I think, Princess Polychrome, who is a character from like the original books, who's obviously not very well known, and is likely to kind of, it's going to be really different from the rest because the others have like Glinda and Ozma and Mombi. So I'm not sure about the third one, but I think by the time I get to it, I'll be so invested, I think I probably will, as it's just going to really flesh out everything, because I'm assuming assuming that all this is going to come into play for the actual series. Next up, books 2 and 3 of The Mortal Instruments, City of Ashes and City of Glass. So I'm putting my foot down. I'm properly going to read these. When Gavin picked my TBR, he actually picked the first book of the prequels, but because I'd already started these ones, the sort of the first ones that were written, I was like, I will continue with these, so it's not like I'm not reading them. So this will be following Clary as she sort of continues with her journey with the Shadowhunters and sort of, yeah, dealing with the Downworlders and just everything paranormal that comes with it, and also the bigger and wider plot of Valentine and her relationship with Jace. I am very much hoping that I'm going to enjoy this series more as I keep going. Concerned because I didn't like the first book. They really annoyed me. Part of me is kind of hoping that if I can get through this, maybe I will enjoy the others more. This is a very big if, and I'm pinning a lot of hopes on that fact. And my final book is The Foundling by Stacey Halls. So I still haven't read The Familiars by Stacey Halls, and so I'm taking a big gamble on the fact that I will like her writing style and her book style, but look at that cover. How can I not? And it was $6.99 in Sainsbury's, so I think it's going to be worth it. Also, I do want to read a bit more historical fiction, and this works perfectly. So the first book was more along the sort of witch vibe. This one, as you can tell, is going under the Foundling vibe. So this follows a young girl who gives up her daughter to an orphanage, and then years later she decides that she actually wants to track her down and sort of, I guess, reclaim her, because I guess really okay, because I guess that's what you could do back then. You could just actually turn up one day and go, actually, I changed my mind. So when she goes back to find her daughter, she discovers that she has already claimed her. So the premise of this sounds very interesting. So it's also going to be her trying to track her down. One of the sort of taglines is 2 women bound by a child and a secret that will change everything. So I think this is going to have something to do with she gets employed by a woman who's sort of housebound. I think it's going to sort of come into play with that. I'm very interested to see what this is because it sounds very intriguing, and the book she wrote before this that has that same sort of intrigue of plot, although possibly quite depressing because it's witches and, you know, witch trials. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this. I think I've only ever read one other Foundling book and it didn't end well, so I got high hopes for this. So that is it for my emergency lockdown book haul. I was actually considering, I was having a really bad week last week and I was considering doing a second one, but I held off. I had some form of self-control. It was very difficult, but I have also kind of changed my mind. I literally finished Mort yesterday and now I'm like, I really need to buy the second one. So I may do another itty bitty little one, maybe. If you enjoyed this video, then smash that like button and show me your thumbs. As always, comment below, what do you think about my book haul and what do you think of my tiny buns? That sounds vastly inappropriate. If you're new, then hit that subscribe button and ding the bell so you never miss a video. I hope you had a great weekend and I will catch you on Thursday for another weekly reading vlog.